Hello, welcome back to the ESL AUNZ Championship for week number 2. It's been a pretty crazy season thus far, Billy. We've seen quite a lot of good games, mostly in the respect of being 2-0s for the favoured team, but this one may be a little bit different than that. We've kind of got a bit of an idea of maybe where we expect these two teams to sit, but based on last week's results, things may be a bit of a surprise.
I mean, thus far, it's exactly what you said. I've seen some pretty one-sided games in the season, all of the games that I've laid my eyes on, and the last game that was a really, thrilling game was the one that I mentioned when we were watching our last series, which was the GZ versus Avant game. I think this game has a real potential to be quite a close and exciting series. But the question really lies for me is this going to be the Atletico that we saw against Jade, going up against Ground Zero, who are really starting to make strides, especially since adding Moe to the roster? Or is this going to be the Atletico that we know can perform up against a team like Ground Zero?
Yeah, definitely, and that is the real question for me as well. Like, I actually thought Atletico would win that match last week against Jade, and then sort of felt like they really got blown out of the water. Like, I don't recall either of the maps being particularly close, which was fairly surprising to me. So it is an important distinction to make. I mean, we look at the Atletico roster, and the players on there all have pretty good experience when it comes to this kind of level of competition. Most of them have been around the block a few times, and you would expect them to be, on paper, a pretty good matchup for a team like Ground Zero. But it definitely looks to me like Ground Zero is in a little bit better form, maybe. And the fact that Atletico's result last week was so poor, and Ground Zero against Avant was so close, I mean, I'm leaning a little bit towards Ground Zero. I think you kind of are as well.
Yeah, I definitely am. I'm actually a pretty big fan of this Ground Zero team. Outside the top 3, if Breakaway didn't exist, this would probably be a team I'd be keeping my eye on a little bit more, especially adding Moe. Like, it's a good mixture of some pretty experienced talent. Like, Burns got so many lands under his belt with, your Tainted Minds, your Greyhound. I mean, he's seen it all. He's been to Miners, all that kind of stuff. Then Moe, the same thing. He's been on so many great teams. Pretty much the similar kind of names as Burn himself as well. So it's very interesting to see them mixed in with some younger talent like Zemp, who's probably one of the higher rated players in the region over the champs and some other competitions as well, like your MDLs, etc., etc. Void, obviously a player that a lot of people have been touting as up-and-coming talent for quite a while now, so it should be pretty interesting to see. I haven't really laid my eyes on many of their games myself, so I'm looking forward to actually seeing how they go up against a team like Atletico, who should present them at least a decent challenge. If not, I would say maybe be the favourite. I'm not too sure. Yeah,
it's really hard to ask and sort of answer as well, I suppose. But one thing that may help us deconstruct how this match is going to play out, of course, is going to be the maps. Now, we'll see what the first couple of bans are going to be. It'll be Ground Zero getting rid of Dust 2, Atletico then getting rid of Train. Nuke, well, okay, maybe didn't really expect to see a Nuke in the pool here, but Mirage for Atletico, I think there's no real surprises when it comes to seeing Mirage out of teams that sort of sit at this level of the competition.
Yeah, it's a very interesting sort of deviation coming out of, your Ground Zero. That might be a little bit more of, Moe influence, or maybe some of the more experienced players trying to diversify and widen the map pool. They really recognize that when you're playing up against a team who is a little bit below top caliber, you can kind of go wide on the map pool a little bit more and try to exploit the lack of knowledge, lack of reps and experience on a map like Nuke or some of the other more tactical maps in the pool when you're versing a team like Atletico.
So Nuke, Mirage and Overpass will be the 3, 4...
It's Inferno, isn't it, the third?
Inferno, sorry, my bad. Yes, it was Inferno. Don't know where I pulled Overpass from. But anyway, what I was going to say, though, is I'm not sure that's going to necessarily make too much of a difference for your prediction. Now, before we get too far down that discussion, let's just bring up everyone's prediction and see what the general thoughts are of all the talent team and the production team. Looks like everyone's gone for Ground Zero. Rob, the only one that's actually gone for Atletico to get at least a map. And I think most of us, at least in my case, I'll say, have done this prediction based on last week's results.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought initially, when I actually made this prediction, I did say 2-1 to Ground Zero.
I was going to say 2-1 to Ath before watching those Jade games personally, but after those Jade games, a little bit shaky in terms of how faithful I am in terms of Atletico's performance.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing is, like, is that going to come back and sort of bite us in the butt a little bit? Because maybe we're like fair weather supporters, if that makes sense. You see them do well, you're like, okay, I'm going to predict them, and then they do well, maybe poorly the next week, but in this case they do poorly one week, but you know on paper that this Atletico roster is better than the result that they got last week. So that's where my kind of internal conflict is at the moment.
Here's my real problem with the Atletico roster at this point. I mean, you know, you talk about them losing Chelios, that's a lot of firepower out of the roster. And then you've got Smooth Krim, who before was actually quite a strong rifler for them and having a lot of impact in that role, being transitioned into a completely different role in AWPing, which is something that he's done a little bit in the past, but not at this level. It's taken a lot of the sort of impact that he's had away from him in that role, and then replacing him with another sort of role player who doesn't put up a tremendous amount of impact. And then before, you know, the third sort of player who would contribute quite a bit, you had JD sort of stepping up here and there, but as of late, his form's gone down quite a bit as well. So it's hard to see where the numbers are going to come from with this Atletico roster. You can still see them playing solid fundamental Counter-Strike and playing, you know, good in terms of
Chelios is in the server today.
Okay, so there you go. He is playing for Atletico.
So that's in place of Teal by the looks of things.
Interesting.
Whether that makes much of a difference to your prediction, I will leave that for you to answer. But Ground Zero starting off on the T side here. Chelios, interestingly enough, the man of the moment, speak of the devil, he shall appear, has started off with a very nice pistol round. What is that? 3 headshots. Oh my god, well. That is maybe a bit of egg on our face after that prediction of 2-0, but hey, it's not the game over just yet.
We did not know he was playing, to be fair, so it's okay if everybody gets the prediction wrong.
Yeah,
We're
that's
all
true.
Still equal. I don't know, can't sort of swivel away based on one round, but Chelios in the server completely changes things up, 100%. So, pretty quick pistol round there. Atletico off to a very strong start here. 1-0 for them. Ground Zero going to take the eco.
Yeah. The AUG straight up as well for Chelios. So much money coming from that pistol round for him. Going to be put to good use as well. Some nice early damage onto Extinct. Play the long angle here with the rifle, the scoped rifle.
Try to pick up all these Glocky boys before they can even make a threat in this round in terms of trying to find a few quick dinks as a collective. And we should pretty quickly be heading into a buy round from Ground Zero. I don't think that they're going to be able to do too much damage with these Glocks. I think a bomb plant's pretty far-fetched at this point.
Would tend to agree, especially based on how the round is playing out. If you're going to get any damage done with the Glocks, it to me feels like you're going to get it done early and with a rush. When it's kind of just long-range aim battles, tapping away on outer, there's almost no chance that the Glock makes that one work. Zemp doesn't even have control of the bomb, so even if he were able to kill ADK, I mean, there was obviously the rotates coming in from Atletico, but really no chance of a bomb plant there. Fair enough. Ground Zero, they would have expected that. And this is the round where we really need to see what they're going to be able to do. Whether the mastermind of Mo ECQ is going to have an impact here. Are we going to see some interesting strategies, some smokes, Molotovs coming in through the skylights, flashbangs, that kind of thing? Or is it going to be just sort of standard stuff, you know, maybe pick and split sort of gameplay, hope for the best? Like, how much time have they had here on Nuke? But I guess given the fact that it is their map choice, you really expect to see something out from them here on the T side.
Pretty interesting approach there from Ground Zero. I mean, no wall of smokes on the outside, just a couple flashbangs and really putting a lot of pressure towards this secret area. Decibel's about to walk straight into the ankle of Moe. He goes down very quickly, so this is going to cause a bit of a ripple in the rotations. You're going to start to see some of these Atletico players having to move their way down towards the lower bomb site. Meanwhile, the boys over on Ground Zero holding on to lobby control. It's really just Moe picking and prodding towards this lowers area. Not much movement from the T's, really trying to expect a reaction now, and they are punishing it. Moe's having a lot of impact. 2 entries for the man towards lower before Chelios finally brings him down, but at this point, Ground Zero's collapsing on upper, and the rotations are nowhere near this upper bomb site.
Yeah, great round to start things off when the guns are in your hands as Ground Zero. The nerve settler. I'm not sure how many nerves there really would have been for Ground Zero, but nonetheless, maybe confidence build-up. Better way to put it.
I think the nerves began when they saw Chelios is connected to the server.
Yeah, maybe. Well, regardless, Atletico look like they want to give this one up. We'll take 2 AKs through, which is a pretty nice prize on the CT side. called off here by Void. And indeed, Chelios does at least. So 1 for 1, actually, that's not too bad. And the grade, I'm not sure about that one. So Burn will take the final challenge and will finish it off. So no guns through there for Atletico. That's a small win for Ground Zero.
Should still be at least a serviceable buy for Atletico. Ground Zero is struggling for money a little bit, lost 4 of their guns.
The hunt may have cost them a little more than they had anticipated.
100%.
But they've got enough to make something happen here. 4 AKs, decent amount of utility. If we're to believe the hunt, it's a good level of utility. Maybe not anymore.
Chelios isn't going to let them get away with that again. I mean, Moe basically just went dry outside in the last round. You got to be pretty scared now if you're Ground Zero. You're going to have to start throwing those smokes down.
Yeah, well, Moe won't make that same mistake now.
Bit of a silly way to throw away around, though, where you don't really have much money to fall back on, in my opinion, but... Still potential if they can make something happen at ramp room. Didn't expect double up on ramp there from Burn, and why would you?
Well, this round definitely is not going the way that Ground Zero would have wanted to. But that, to me, felt like a really loose round from Ground Zero, where they were sort of just trying to do some individual plays and see what maybe Atletico is setting up like on the CT side. And now, in the next gun round, we may see a bit more structure from Ground Zero.
Should do, but we won't get to see that structure just yet. Never mind, they are buying up. Still going to double down on my statement, though. Can't really execute the same kind of round with a handful of CZs and little utility. I'd expect a pretty quick play out.
Vent drop, maybe. That looks like it was the attempt, at least, for Burn. Grenade to go through there from Smooth Criminal, just in case anyone else followed up, but...
He's done more nade damage to himself than the T's at this point.
So far this game. Well, that plan's gone a little bit of awry for Ground Zero, hasn't it?
Definitely has, and it's going to be pretty difficult for them to get back into this round now. Would like to see them try to pick towards that ramp area. They will only have 80k to contest with, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Moe starts to move his way in here, strafing back and forth, but punished by 80k. Is doing a fantastic job holding onto that ramp room. Tags them down as well. Where's...
Ooh.
I was about to say, JD was very far forward there.
Well, that's given Zemp a rifle to work with.
It's going to be one of those games where it's just a bit of a trek to cast. Everything's happening everywhere. Everyone's pushing by themselves.
Let's see if Zemp can get the bomb down here. We'll fake the plant. Oh, nice shot onto Chelios. Fake plant again. Just going to allow the CTs a little bit more time to work with as they push their way forward. And Zemp will be lucky to get away with this one and just falls off the angle at the wrong time. Even then, the trade probably would have been workable for Smooth Criminal in a situation like that, but some extra damage done there from Ground Zero than they maybe deserved to, courtesy of Zemp.
Should be the save out from Ground Zero. A little bit of damage done to Atletico economically, but as long as they don't lose too many guns to the pistols here, too many of their lives, then they should really start building up this money and get themselves off to a nice round lead on the CT side of you, as you would expect. Which really begs the question, what is Ground Zero going to do in the next proper gun round?
Imagine if you saw someone like flying through the air like that in real life, where they're just flying at you and then all of a sudden they just swing to the left. You're like, what is going on here? Witchcraft.
Did you even call at that point?
This game's not even realistic.
I know. Why does anyone play it? I only play games for the realism.
Me too.
I only play Flight Simulator. That's it.
All right, Ground Zero. Finally, they have a good buy.
Actually going to buy the AWP on the T side, so I'm actually interested to see where Zemp takes that.
199 ADR, 6 rounds in.
At this point, he's going to throw the smoke out towards outers. So a bit more structured of a play towards outers this time for the Ts.
What's so funny, Mitch?
Nothing's funny. Nothing at all. Burn, though, he's in a bit of trouble. He needs to be careful. You don't want to be running into this angle. He seems so aware of it.
I'm just ready to see him swing to the right there.
It's a standoff, lads. No one's going to drop their guard.
Ooh.
That was pretty interesting.
Well,
These
Chelios
teams have control of Ghetto as well. Or Secret, rather.
Chelios has rotated his position up to the A site now. Still no movement really from ground zero. Slow and steady wins the race, I suppose. They have the player advantage. No need to get any or do anything too rash at this point. Need to group themselves up. Looks like it'll be 2 in toward the A bomb site, but Void goes down straight away. This is a very, very split attack from ground zero. Moe will get Decibel. And the trades are decent enough for ground zero that the bomb should be able to be planted if necessary. Moe eventually does find Chelios anyway. So another one on the board for ground zero. Looks better now that they have some guns in their hands, but still.
This round's going to be the real test if they're going to start to build up their round count on the T side, because potential for them to be able to put Atletico on an eco after this, if they do come away with it. Again, smokes towards outside to start things off for ground zero. Just the light pressure on outside, trying to get 1 or 2 people down secret there. Don't think Chelios spotted them on the cross, and they are walking, so you can't be too sure if anyone's actually made it into secret there. No one's going to know. That's a good job from Void to actually get a kill through the door there on JD. That's going to make things extremely difficult for Atletico. They've lost a lot of map control with the T's taking secret, and they've lost the man advantage, not to mention the fact that 2 of them have UMPs. I feel like this is going to have to be one of those rounds where Chelios just runs around and shoots the rest of the T's, or this round's going to be over very quickly here, Jordan.
Well, you say very quickly, but in the case of ground zero, I think it may be very slowly, whichever case does occur, whether they win or lose. Does seem like ground zero, in this instance, really want to play a little slower on the T side than what we might have been accustomed to from ground zero in the last match.
Question is, are they taking too long? It's a nice smoke on towards the windows. They're going to put Moe in a pretty key position. They're going to start to pincer this upper bomb site.
Ooh, noise made there by 80k, so Moe's going to be well aware that there's a player waiting for him here. Does win the aim duel as a result. Very close thing, but it's good enough. Now he just has to cover off Decibel. Easily done by Extinct in the end. So the bomb down for ground zero, 5 players alive. This round looking much better. Chelios will eventually finish off Moe. I'm not sure that makes too much of a difference really to ground zero's feelings about this round. We're very happy with how it's progressed thus far. Maybe not for Zemp if Smooth Criminal can get behind him. They're both watching the same angle though. Hopefully no one peeks. You wouldn't want to get shot by 2 people at one time, would you?
Wouldn't really want to get shot by one person, personally.
Well, I guess that's fair.
3rd round on the board, though, for ground zero. And as I said at the start of the round, it's going to be a good foothold for them to start to run their round count up a lot on the T side of Nuke. When you're trading rounds back and forth with the CT side, you're in a great position to be able to take the map away once you move on to your CT side. Not to mention how convincing that round win was from them. Some great money for them across the board. Now I'm going to see the single eco from Atletico.
Still a couple of guns to work with. Some utility there for Smooth Criminal and Chelios. Ground zero can't be caught napping.
Just very slow and methodical play across the board from the ground zero side. Burn's going to throw the smoke over towards windows there. Molotov towards heaven. Good little utility set that got popularized by Astralis on that Outers take.
Yeah, it seems to have worked nicely. Void absolutely demolishes Atletico on his own. 4-man spray down. That's very nice indeed. Looking for the ace here. Just needs to get Chelios. I don't think we've seen too many aces in the AUNZ Championship just yet. I think it might be Moe to steal it away though. And it is.
So Chelios overspent a little bit. I think he was buying his teammates pistols in the last, which is going to give him a little poorer money than the rest of the lads. I'm not even sure that they're going to want to buy into this one. They're not. I like this decision from Atletico. Utility is pretty important on Nuke, not to mention the fact that they really want to be getting that AWP into Chelios' hands. Has been the single most effective way for them to put rounds on the board thus far. So, would be pretty counterproductive to start buying rifle armor and trying to make that work. Man advantage for Atletico though. And this is one of those rounds I could see going the way of Atletico, unless one of these Ground Zero players starts to make a bit of a difference. And I'd say Moe taking control of Secret. I mean, he's going to be pretty brave if he's going to start making his way towards unders by himself. It's a bit of a scary prospect. With how slow Ground Zero's been playing thus far in this game.
Chelios just sneaking around the side of that scope. Zenf will be a little disappointed. Somebody needs to do something a little heroic here for Ground Zero in a 3v5. Time is starting to run out. All the avenues seem to be pretty well covered by Atletico. Oh, we will take the timing. It's actually Burn and Extinct that are going to open things up, open the account for Ground Zero. Two really important frags to get them back in the round. And obviously now it swings back in their favor with this weaponry advantage. Still, 2 players on the B bomb site does make things a little difficult, particularly getting this bomb down. 80k will just spam through with the mag 7. 1 shot on the Burn. 16 seconds now left on the clock as Dezabel launches the smoke, but he can't see that bomb plant going down. Some pretty nice damage onto Extinct, but the bomb has been planted, and that is mission success for Ground Zero, at least their first mission. Now the second mission, obviously, to clean the round up. And Extinct's got some nice positioning here. He's watching that player on the defuse. He actually jumps off of it. Extinct will go down, but he's done his job. He's forced it into the 1v1 with Moe having the advantage, and that'll be enough for Ground Zero to win the round. Nice round, though, really, from Atletico when you consider what they had. But Ground Zero at least equalise it at 5 apiece and avoid, well, not disaster, but a bit more of a sticky situation than what they're in now.
So here's another proper buy round coming out for Atletico. Ground Zero on a bit of a tear at this point. Like you said, that round definitely could have gone to Atletico. I saw it happening, but they grouped up together, won a couple of aim duels with those AKs, and from that point, once they were able to secure that bomb plant, looked pretty good for them. It's like a molly for Rafter, perhaps. Could be looking at a bit more of a uppers hit in this particular round, and it will indeed. Molly to Rafter doesn't hit, but the molly to the top of the HUD does. Annex smoke is up, flashes over the top from Ground Zero. They're not out yet.
Extinct into the site. He does get rid of Smooth Criminal, traded back pretty quickly. The next frag needs to go the way of Ground Zero, but it will not. In fact, the next 2 go the way of Atletico, and the third. Much cleaner round for Atletico. Ground Zero, I mean, they didn't really hit the timings there onto the A bomb side. It felt like Atletico weren't really under enough pressure. They're easily able to hit their shots.
Yeah, it was a good execute attempt from Ground Zero, but unfortunately, like you said, timings were a little bit off. There wasn't really any pressure on any other parts of the map, so especially with the fact that Atletico had a pretty good buy into that round and they were able to throw out the utility fairly early, it felt like Ground Zero was trying to run into a bit of a brick wall after they didn't make the most of those initial flashes, especially because that Rafter molly didn't hit, and you saw that player cleaning up people coming out of hut. If he had been mollied out of position, could have been a bit of a different story.
Well, still not the end of the world for Ground Zero. I mean, 6-5, I think the T side, if you're getting 5 rounds at this point, you're relatively happy with the proceedings. Still gives you a lot of room to work with, as we're not yet done with the first half, and you've already kind of hit almost a pass score.
Yeah, anything on top of this for Ground Zero is a bonus. So winning that round would have put them in a very strong position in this game, but they don't need it. There's the smokes on the cross. Silence down into Secret from Ground Zero. A lot of players over in this part of the map.
Ooh, that hurts. That hurts a lot. JG just spamming them through the smoke. I mean, not much you can really do about that as Ground Zero, short of moving a bit quicker through the smoke.
But then you give the opponent information.
Yeah, once again, we're back into 3v5 that Ground Zero needs to try and dig themselves out of. Difficult task now that Atletico has actually got the guns as well. Boyd drops 2. JD holding a nice angle, but Moe hits a pretty good shot. I don't know that it's enough to get them back in the round, particularly now. Smooth Criminal just cleans both of them up, coming up the ladder. 7 for Atletico now, and Eco probably to come here for Ground Zero as well. What looked like a strong, solid fight back from Ground Zero has really just been halted for the last couple of rounds, which could prove to be all the difference.
Going to be a save out of Ground Zero. Going to allow Atletico to move up quite a bit in terms of the round count. But like we said already, Ground Zero on this T side, their job's more or less done. Anything on top of this is just extra.
Rest in peace, Zemp. And Void as well. Chelios doesn't manage to connect with the third, and that's Burn who will make him pay for it. But really for no major result here. Even if you do some damage right now as Moe, it doesn't seem particularly relevant. No, I suppose maybe I lied. The money's not amazing for Atletico at this point. Oh, I thought he hit that shot.
Half is really starting to wind down at this point. Ground Zero going to be heading on to another bye. Some pretty sharp deagling from your boy Moe.
I mean, there's always still a chance for an 8-7 here for Ground Zero.
For sure. It's not going to be given to them though. They're going to have to beat 2 bye rounds in a row. Ground Zero just spread out here. I don't think they've thrown the outside smokes just yet. See what the approach is going to be from them. Slowly progressing on this outside yard. Moe in a pretty key position on top of the annex here. Thus far, no damage really taken. Looks like they're going to start to put pressure towards Heaven and the windows. They smoke off annex. Moe heads in there. Is the Heaven molly as well as the smoke onto the windows.
How's he gotten across there? That might be a crucial miss, actually, in the grand scheme of things now that we've seen that. Could have just as easily been 4v5 again, favouring Atletico, but now Moe's got good positioning. Ground Zero crossed into secret.
So this is actually a really weird round here. This push from Atletico might steal the round from them.
I didn't expect Burn to be there. No way do you expect 2 players. But Moe could be the key difference maker right now for Ground Zero. His timing is everything. And so too is Burn holding the position. He's got backup from Zemp at least to make sure that no one can wrap back through Squeaky. This will be where Moe needs to strike. Doesn't quite manage it. Oh, wait, yes he did. He got a kill somehow in that. And that's enough to actually open the side up just for Ground Zero. But Chelios, it's on a silver platter for him right now. He spotted the next player. Just a quick flick with that CZ into the head of Zemp, but it's not enough to land the second shot. An 8-6, it'll go the way of Ground Zero. A near thing. Could have just as easily been Atletico's round, but what I'm talking about, remember Chelios missing that shot on the player crossing outer. What a difference that could have made to the round. And now Atletico with the double AWP, weird buy in the last round.
I like the approach from Atletico. I mean, they couldn't have had the best utility across the board, so the double AWP is not too crazy of a shot for them to be able to have a better chance of taking this round away if they're able to pick 1 or 2 players in some parts of the map early on. I don't know if Ground Zero is going to expect them to have had the money for that either. Same thing as last round from Ground Zero. Slow progression on the outside yard. There's the smoke onto the windows, the molly to Heaven, flash over the top. Moe put in a key position, but not good enough.
Was he flash there? It didn't feel like he was, but he just, I don't know, didn't get the shot onto Chelios that you really expected he would have. Extinct eventually does dispatch of Chelios, but it's maybe too little too late. 2 players have already gone down for ground 0. Atletico have the advantage in this particular round. Void with the pop flash through on the A bomb site is causing a bit of ruckus. There's so many players here, it's really difficult to assume that he can get out of here alive. Will be spotted by Dezebel. Nice quick flick with the Mag 7. Zemp just tickled a little bit there. Waiting for a peek out from Dezebel, but it will not occur. And now it's really on to Extinct, isn't it? He needs to be that player that makes the difference and won't be able to. Smooth Criminal hits a nice shot. All onto Zemp. 1v4. Round for Atletico in the half for them as well. 9-6. I'm not so sure you'll be too disappointed really as ground 0. 6 is enough.
Yeah, definitely, and some good learning experiences for them in that half in particular. Like, they're clearly playing a pretty structured style and trying to bleed out their opponents with specific pieces of utility to gain the map control. Especially that execute, that's worth going back and having a look at. The timings were completely off, and plenty to learn from them. But heading into this next round, enough's done for them to be able to close this out on the CT side. Be interesting to see how well drilled Atletico is on their T side, especially with shuffling players in and out of the lineup. And as far as I know, they haven't played a huge amount of Nuke.
I don't believe that they have. Doesn't look like it from what I'm having a quick squiz at. So hard to imagine, I guess, that Atletico will have much ready here for Nuke. But that said, they did allow it through. So must have a degree of confidence at least. How much we don't know. 4 sets of armor on the T side for Atletico though. So that is sometimes contrary to the norm. These days I feel like we're seeing a lot more 2 players with utility. Looks like Atletico just wants to run and gun, and that may well work against ground 0.
Got a lot of control of ramp. Looks like they're going to force the issue to lowers.
And Extinct is there and hits a very nice couple of shots. 3 indeed. Following up what Chelios was able to do on his CT pistol. Maybe not quite as good. And Chelios as well, again with the pistols. This time on the T side, 2 quick taps with the P250. Does keep it interesting, but how interesting is the real question. As Moe just gets one on the fadeaway, a little bit more damage over onto Chelios. And realistically, it's only a matter of time before he gets wrapped by multiple players. Ground 0 do win the pistol. Void straight into the XM. The alligator is out. Let's go.
Instant buy as well.
Yeah.
Seconds into freeze time. He knows what he wants.
He's got that buy bind for the XM.
Slams it immediately.
Yeah. What a huge amount of utility for ground 0 though.
Isn't that meme of the cat that like slams his paws down on the retweet and the favorite thing?
Yeah.
That's what he did. Kevlar and
except with his buy bind.
yeah, Kevlar and XM. Just
let's go. Bang.
Instantly. Alright. So safe for Atletico. Going to be looking forward towards the AK's next round. They're just waiting for a bit of a push for maybe one of these SMGs to get a little bit over-aggressive. Won't happen though. Extinct, giving them a fair amount of respect, listening to a lot of footsteps. I don't know why he's hanging around so long. He needs to chill out.
Yeah, might have hung around a bit too long indeed. Atletico will take advantage of it. Smooth Criminal coming around the back. He does only have a Glock. Where's the bomb going down here for Atletico? Nope. It's not anywhere near the site. So they've taken B, but they can't do anything with it. And it might be the undoing for them. Void just spamming away. Alligator's doing some damage. Well, that was a very weird round, wasn't it?
That was a classic case of a player dreaming of the rating. Really wants those internet points.
That's looking back on the pistol there. Some good pistol work today on both matches, actually. Well, here's the chance for ground 0 to equalize things once again. Last time was at 5 apiece. Now they're on the CT side. 9 apiece you would think start to favor them for the map then.
See how the first couple gun rounds go first though. Smokes on the cross from Atletico. They're going to molly towards credit card flash over the top. Outside is being conceded by ground 0. So where's the rotation? Who's going down towards lowers to manage this? How are they going to react? Looks like they are starting to put Extinct down there, as well as Burn, who's already committed to it. Which begs the question, Atletico, are they going to commit to this lower bomb site, or are they just going to force the rotation and then move their way back towards other portions of the map? Smoke is going to deny a lot of information to these CTs, actually. Rest of the T's movement is towards lobby. So I would imagine this is going to be an annex split towards upper. Not much utility left for the CTs either. We're going to come down to these aim duels. How well can these upper players hold? How close are the rotations?
Ooh. Zem's in a nice spot. Doesn't manage to connect the shot, so that will allow the players to cross here. That's a nice one, though, onto Chelios. And Burns getting some work done with the FAMAS. Smooth Criminal and ADK, the last alive, but ADK hits a very, very important shot, and now it's onto Moe in the 2v1. Actually drops the bomb carrier. That is a crucial kill as well, because time's starting to run out here. With a grenade, Moe can just finish this off. As soon as that bomb plant goes down, that looks exactly like what he wants to do, and he will indeed. Very good awareness from Moe. Great comms from Ground Zero as well, recognizing that the damage was done. And 9 is up for Ground Zero, but it was an expensive round.
Definitely was. Atletico, their spacing and the way that they peeked off of each other in that round was very good, able to trade Void fairly cleanly. I like the way that they took control of lower and then just kept things nice and simple towards the later parts of that round, splitting into uppers. So, decent approach from Atletico, I have to say. Forcing out those rotations by hitting towards lower. See if they're going to do more of that in this half. More smokes towards that outside area. You have to say that probably should have been an Atletico round.
I don't know. I think both sides in that round were not lucky, but they both hit some pretty clutch shots, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You know, for Atletico to get into that site, I mean, for Zem to hit the shot on Chelios coming into that site, they're all pretty good shots, so I think both had their fair share of close calls, put it that way. Zemp above the smoke here. Well, not really going to be able to see through it. This time Wisely again backing away. Burn on the outer. He'll spot a couple and just pops away at the heads. It is only pistols for Atletico right now. Chelios always seems to get some damage done with that pistol. This time it's the Deagle. 140 ADR.
After how many rounds?
18 rounds. Pretty impressive.
Even more
That'll help as well.
Pumping those numbers up.
Yep. 27. He's got 27 frags in 18 rounds.
He's got an AWP and armor.
And he's got a potentially winnable round now.
That's what I was about to say. Bombs on outer though. Just going to make it pretty difficult.
Still got a lot of time to work with. He's just got no idea where any of these CTs are, and all of these scopes are making pretty important noises.
You almost saw it. You knew you saw it coming.
I saw the no scope flick. Well, no such luck for Atletico. Oh, you got to be feeling for... I mean, look at Chelios and Smooth Criminal right now. 28 and 12 and 20 and 12.
Straight back to the old Atletico club.
And it's much, much cleaner across the board for Ground Zero. They're sort of all chiming in.
Funnily enough, Zemp, who's been one of their better players, is having a bit quieter of a game. And they're still able to get it done. So just seeing the system and the approach implemented come to fruition. This round, Atletico with a lot more emphasis towards lobby and radio. See what the reaction will be from the CTs if the Ts do opt to try to get some control in that part of the map. Atletico's not really doing a whole lot of anything right now, just waiting out utility.
Ooh. Oh, he's quaking in his boots.
They are very much trying to isolate him, and he's really holding his nerve, not dropping a Molotov there. He just waits for the smoke from his teammate. How often do you see that? I would 100% drop a Molotov there in every situation. Wow. I would panic completely, and I would be very scared.
It's the reason you're casting and not playing in the ANZ champs, I think. It's just because of that Molotov.
That's all it is.
Very slow round out from Atletico this time. The push coming from Burn may catch Smooth Criminal off guard, and that is an important aim duel to win. Costs Burn a lot of his HP, but he'll take it at this point. Moe creeping up the ladder. This, you know, is a shot that Chelios is going to be able to hit. Maybe it's the dual peek out from Burn and Moe. But I think the damage is already done, even if Chelios can hit some nice shots here, which he actually doesn't. He misses it onto Moe. And it's all onto JD, but too many angles to watch, surely. With 4 HP, the round is over, even though he does have the bomb. And that's 11 for Ground Zero, and so far they have not lost a round on this CT side.
Ah, gotta love it from Moe. He just sits on the ladder the entire round, sits in the corner, sits on the ladder, does nothing.
Yeah.
The correct play in that situation, do nothing. And then remember that Molotov that he had earlier? Just throws it down in front of door again, slides into it, picks off Chelios. It's the only way you can beat him. The attention span of over, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If you peek him in that 30 seconds when he's actually concentrating, you're dead.
Well, once you watch an angle for that long, then it becomes, sometimes your reaction time actually slows down.
100%.
You suck yourself out in a way. That's a good start for Zemp. We talked about him maybe not having as strong of a game as some of the other Ground Zero players, but like you said, he's still getting it done, and this time opening up an important frag for his team. Really starts to feel now like Ground Zero is dictating this game more so than Atletico. T-side has been a big change up, and Atletico just aren't able to adapt quite as quickly as Ground Zero have been able to the CT.
So they're down multiple players. What have they really got going for them is the question. I mean, JD could potentially get a pick towards lower, which could start to mess with the rotations a bit. And maybe one of the other lads could step up in their part of the map, but it's not going to happen. They're all sort of just prodding and poking in different parts of the map, hoping to get a pick so that it can open up some holes for some of the other lads to work with. But when none of them really get anything done, it's not really coming together.
Criminal might still feel like he's got a chance here, but perhaps not anymore. And JD, well, he'll find himself in a 1v4 again. This time, Zemp and Extinct very low on HP, so if Moe makes the wrong step here and gives up his life, you feel like it's very doable then for JD. With the bomb down, flashbangs going through, Moe does win the aim duel. That's important, the round's over. Another one for Ground Zero.
Always positioning and just general play in this game thus far has been impeccable. Just the way that he uses his utility, zips up the vent, opens door, drops the molly, and a flash to throw off the aim of the T who's peeking through the molly, getting out of the sight. So annoying to play against. Loss bonus really building up for Atletico now. They've been able to buy back to back to back to back after losing every time. Ground Zero really starting to pull away a little bit, but it's not quite out of reach for Atletico yet. Smokes over the top from Atletico. Pretty heavy emphasis on this outside area. Burn waiting for the pop flash. It comes out. The second one, actually. But they don't get anything done. Both of the picks through the smoke from the tees of Atletico. The rifles, rather.
Well, finally a better start to the round for Atletico. Every single one, it felt like it really did favour Ground Zero from the start. This time it's different. They must consolidate on it. Convert this into a round win. Extinct is in a sneaky spot, but he's been spotted out by JD, and can't really do too much once he gets tagged by those bullets. Chelios is down. I think for Ground Zero, really, it's save time. Money's not actually that good on the CT side right now.
So in the old loss bonus system, this would be the kind of scenario where you'd be like, well, if Atletico lose too many guns here and then lose the next round, it's going to be tough. Not really going to be the case. It's actually going to be this point where, and they chose the perfect round to do it, where Atletico could start to really come back into this game and start hitting hard.
Looks like they will be able to find Zemp as well. It's going to be a case of how many good shots Zemp can hit as to whether he will survive or not. That actually might be the only one that he needs to hit. No one else really in close proximity to trade out JD. So luckily for Ground Zero, the AWP will survive through, which is a big bonus. I mean, Zemp can drop, Moe can drop a rifle here as well. It should be a pretty decent buy.
Ground Zero's lost bonus. Not built up just yet. Atletico reducing theirs by 1. Takes away a big win condition, really, of just money screwing the other team. Does that actually give Zemp a gap, is my question. I mean, it didn't really.
Yeah, it was the second smoke that was short anyway.
Yep.
Where is Zemp? Yeah, he's watching that smoke. And if they're going to walk through here, this is the freest kill of his life, but he misses the shot. Oh, dear. Gets the info, at least for Burn. It's a 1v1. He'd be very disappointed there for Zemp. Needed to hit that shot.
Is Decibel going to be able to pick this player on ramp is my question.
Oh, the timing.
Chelios picks at Annex. Atletico don't need to rush this. They have full control of lower. Chelios can just chill here. Decibel's coming behind from Megaton.
Well, Void might get the timing here onto Chelios as well. Hasn't spotted him going behind the vent. Void actually does not check it. He's going down the vent without checking, so this is really bad news for Ground Zero now. Moe's made a lot of noise. Chelios coming down the vent. Is not going to spot Moe just yet, but I don't think it matters. 80k gets the aim battle win anyway. Void. Freeze kill of Chelios' life there, and also his 30th of the game. 12-11. Now the money is, well, broken, really, for Ground Zero. The exception being Zemp. He can drop pistols.
Yeah, they haven't quite built up their loss bonus just yet. So they're going to have to take the save. Atletico is starting to build up a fair bit of money and actually make this much more competitive now. I really like the way they played that round in particular. Obviously, everything could have gone wrong if those outside smokes had been punished, but just the way that they were angling in that round in particular, Chelios putting a lot of pressure on Annex. The rest of the team took lowers while Decibel flanked through radio to ramp after the rotation had been caused. It's a very cohesive sort of approach from everyone. See if they're going to continue to do that.
Well, thankfully for Ground Zero, Zemp was the one that had that bit of extra cash, so this will afford the AWP.
Yep.
If they choose to, and which I guess they will.
Is Chelios going to drop a 40 in this game?
Yeah, it definitely feels like it.
He goes for the AWP. He actually just throws the AK on the ground. Wasn't a thing that they had at the start of the round, but he opts to throw away $2,700 just so he has it in this round in particular. See if it's going to pay off for him.
So far, he's been very consistent with it. Well, Zemp again has got a hole in the smoke. Atletico definitely need to revisit the outer execute. Make sure that's short up.
Atletico just waiting around, not doing much of anything, so thus far, Chelios hasn't been able to get them a pick.
Ooh. Oh, he spotted one at least. Knows there's some pressure headed in the direction of the A site. Void and Burn winning important duels, and Void dropped off, but straight into the crosshairs of JD. Moe at least is able to trade. Needs to know that there's more coming for him, and he does. Luckily, Chelios low on HP. Not much of a task there for Moe. It actually cleans up 3. 13-2 now. A much better round for Ground Zero.
Really felt like Atletico was heavily relying on someone opening that round up, especially Chelios towards outside or coming out the door. And when nothing really happened, when they didn't really get anything off the back of that, they kind of just did their best to roll out of upper and ran into some pretty strong positions from Ground Zero at a weird point in the round. Complete opposite of what they were doing before. Oh, Zemp, he just completely over-adjusted there. Could have easily taken Chelios out very early on into the round and got Ground Zero pretty massive advantage. But he will anyway. Makes up for it.
Yeah, but traded back straight away by Smooth Criminal. So, 4v4. But the thing is, Chelios is down, and he's been a real driving force behind the Atletico, well, CT and T side. Smooth Criminal really just behind him, but now he's got the AWP as well. So, I think there's definitely still a reasonable chance here for Atletico. But Moe, hello, dad reflexes, does eventually spot the feet. And it's Decibel that will suffer as a result. Double peek here for Ground Zero, but it's not really going to work out too nicely for them. Moe will fall. It's Smooth Criminal that's making the difference in this round for Atletico. He himself is looking for that 30 bomb. This will be a nice smoke down from Void. Perfect timing. And is he ready, though, for the push? At least gets one. That's good enough for Ground Zero to cause some problems. Burn playing with fire on the ladder there, and now Extinct over peaks and gives it all over to Burn. In the 1v2, how's Athletico managed to salvage this round? Can Burn make the difference?
Smoked off and no kit from the man.
Well, he's going to move quickly. He knows where at least one of those players is. Cops the grenade for the information. Can't get the shot there onto the shoulder of Smooth Criminal, and it knows, I think now that there's a player behind him, but it doesn't matter. Smooth Criminal with 4 with the AWP in the round. And maybe the best thing that happened in that round for Athletico was Chelios going down, because it gave it over to Smooth Criminal. 13 apiece now. Still anybody's game, particularly with the money looking the way it does on that CT side.
I mean, that's just a huge impact round. 4 kills to reset the money of Ground Zero, force them on the eco. It's absolutely massive. You couldn't have greater impact, especially with how that round was looking, exactly like you said. Let's see if Athletico are going to close this one out cleanly and gather themselves a lead once again in this game. Well, they've been leading for most of it, actually. It's a pretty juicy nade. This will be a pretty big win from Athletico off the back of some massive individual performances from 2 of their players.
Yeah.
Ground Zero losing Nuke and then heading on to a map like Mirage.
Especially with Chelios and Smooth Criminal AWPing the way that they are right now. Scary prospect indeed. Huh. Wouldn't be the first time we'd been wrong. But it's still not over just yet. More guns in the hands of Ground Zero, but this is probably their last chance, isn't it?
Definitely is. Paul's going to come out, have a bit of discussion. I don't know, Athletico seem decently well versed on their T side. They've thrown some pretty interesting rounds in the mix in terms of overall positioning, but it really feels like when they run out of ideas, unless one of them individually has a pretty big play, things kind of fall apart, and Ground Zero are able to pick them apart pretty convincingly. Question going to be, are Ground Zero going to start to overreact, or are they going to be objective about how they've been losing these rounds and continue to just kind of play the way that they've been playing? Sometimes when you get behind and you forget, how do we lose these rounds? You know, Smooth Criminal killing 4 of us, etc., etc. You can start to over-adjust and not play a game.
Yeah.
I feel like overall, Ground Zero have been the better team, but the individuals from Athletico are really pulling away a bit.
Most definitely. As you said, 40 bomb on the cards here for Chelios in regulation time. And Smooth Criminal definitely also putting in good work for Athletico right now. But Ground Zero, there was a moment in this half, or a fair period of this half, where it didn't seem like they would even lose a round. Athletico once again take control of the ramp room. Ground Zero giving space.
I think Ground Zero are posturing for a bit of push towards lobby at this point. Doubled up in the hut here. I'm actually just going to throw down the smoke. So some aggressive play. Actually see Dezabel working towards outside there. Some of the rotations towards lower now starting to come in effect, and every time it seems like Dezabel's in a really good position to potentially win the round for Athletico. But the question is he actually going to make use of that positioning?
Yeah, very big question indeed. 35 seconds here. No real movement, no substantial movement out from Athletico. So whatever it is going to be, it'll have to be an explosion, and it looks to be toward the B bomb site. Extinct trying to hold off as best he can. 80k will drop, and that's the bomb spotted. So rotation has to come in here from Ground Zero, but JD does get rid of Burn. Doesn't sacrifice too much of his HP in doing so either. Nice shot hit by Chelios. Semp charging on forward, and he'll take the re-peek. Chelios gets 2, and the bomb goes down now. Void with a 1v3 to deal with. Players stuck behind the pole. Silo really, but doesn't make life any easier for him getting that 1 frag. Still a crossfire to deal with. Pushing on forward, tries to use as much utility as he can. Expects somebody in the cutout. Now going to try and defuse the bomb, or at least sit on it. Will spot out Smooth Criminal. They almost line up for him. He doesn't have a defuse kit. He might not have time here. It doesn't matter, as Dezabel will win the round. And 15 is up for Athletico.
Same sort of approach as we saw from Atletico in a previous round. They slowly just crawl and take some control of the map. Very simplistic map control and hold, wait for a push from ground zero or mistake from one of the CTs. But when it doesn't come, they wait and they wait and they wait, and then they all just push at the same time very late into the round. It puts a lot of pressure on some of these players from ground zero. It waits out a lot of the utility, and it puts it into a situation where if the crossfire isn't sufficient from ground zero, if one of the players is just slightly out of position on the rotation, a little bit too far away, and the trades go smoothly for Atletico, they can sort of just roll onto the bomb site and get themselves in a decent post plant. And when the person in that post plant position is Chelios with an AWP in his hand, it's pretty ugly stuff to try to retake into that.
This was great work from Chelios. He's really hunting for that 40. He's got one more frag to go. And if they win here, I think you can give him a pat on the back. Good stuff from the individuals on Atletico. But not over just yet. You do feel as though if Atletico win this, that Mirage is going to be an easier task than Nuke was.
Could be the case. I don't doubt that Ground Zero is going to be able to play a bit of Mirage.
Oh, well. Zemp says good night. Oh, 2 with the Scout and the 2 power players for Atletico right now as well.
Yeah, hang on a bit.
Maybe there's a story left untold here on Nuke.
You could potentially be looking at OT here.
Well, God forbid we get a repeat of what we saw for Carnage when they were overseas at WESG. It was like 4 or 5 overtimes on Nuke.
That could be pretty exciting.
I wouldn't mind getting some sleep tonight at least.
Overrated.
Zemp's got 3. Give the guy a Scout. He doesn't need the AWP. In fact, I think the Scout's been better. A lot of damage done through the wall there onto Dezabel. This is looking like Ground Zero's cleanest round in a while. 14 now. Money's still great for Atletico, so they'll have everything that they would have wanted. But it's a welcome change for the CT side.
All right. So now heading into the potentially last round of the game if Athletic are able to take it away, or are Ground Zero going to push it into overtime? Pretty big play there from Zemp to be able to make that round a possibility.
Yep.
Don't know if we're going to see that again.
Oh, did Chelios spot the shoulder there? I think he might have.
Absolutely.
Timing here for Zemp could be critical. Does this actually not decide to fire through the smoke? Peeks right into Chelios, and there's 40. And Atletico put themselves one step closer to a map win here on Nuke.
So again, a lot of outside pressure, and Dezabel's left to wrap through the ramp nice and late. Once they pressure that lower bomb site enough, Extinct's probably going to shuffle back down Megaton, and that's going to be Dezabel's potential opportunity to push down. But this time, Extinct's looking to make a play. They are down a man, and he can't just let this round unfold naturally. He's got to try to get them advantage.
Oh, no.
We'll do so.
That feels bad for Dezabel.
Burn's in a great position. Too many rounds have I seen Burn in a key round like this.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Massive impact. Here we
go.
go.
Rid of one. Chelios takes the duel, and that'll go the way of Burn, exactly as you say. Impact player in an impactful position at an impactful time of the round. There you go. 2v4 now for Atletico to deal with. But 80K and JD haven't looked too bad so far. Particularly JD, I feel, has had some pretty impactful frags, even if he's not hitting the lofty heights that Smooth Criminal and Chelios are. But bombs down, 2v3. It's definitely still winnable here for Atletico. Dropping down. Lado is one of the CTs. Now JD spamming away on the bomb. Still no defuse just yet for Ground Zero. This may give them the opening. Moe spams away through the smoke. Time still favoring Ground Zero here. They've got plenty to work with. And JD needs to hit a magical 2-man spray down here, and he will not be able to do it. Ground Zero are going to force us through to the 15-15. It's overtime. Well, we're back to square one now.
That was a great mid-round push from Extinct, though. He really made that happen in the 4-on-5. Once he picks that radio play, it really speeds up the play from Atletico. They try to make things work in the lower bomb site there, and wasn't quite able to bring that into fruition. So now the question really is, like, we're heading into overtime where I feel like Ground Zero have looked like the better team.
Yep.
So how much longer, again, across how much bigger of a sample size are Chelios and Smooth Cream just going to be able to roll over your boys on Ground Zero time and time again? Although you have to give some decent credit to Atletico's T side in the way that it's functioning at the moment. It seems like, you know, the outside smokes to the pressure on towards that secret part of the map, Decibel going on the other side of the map, or whether they're heading towards ramp and then Decibel's at the back of Annex. If he's able to utilize that lurk position a little bit better and punish some of these rotations and actually put himself in a key spot to get a pick, rather than playing really passively and just waiting around, then you could get a lot more rounds on the side of Atletico. And the way that, you know, the way that they're constructing their T side, it's working fairly well for them, I would say. But at the same time, whenever they seem to run out of ideas, whenever one of these big players for them doesn't get a pick, it seems like Ground Zero are coming away with it fairly easily.
Well, I guess that's the nature of how this game has played out, really, when you have a player on 40 and a player on 30. If those players then in any given round don't actually manage to do something, then the going does get much more difficult.
But it's not only that, other factors going against them as well. Like, how many times have they thrown the same kind of look up against Ground Zero? You know, hitting in the last 30 seconds, taking one part of the map and just 4-1-ing. Ground Zero knows exactly how they're playing their T side. The question is, are they going to be able to adapt to that and actually do something about it?
I think there was a few missed opportunities by Ground Zero as well.
For sure.
You know, some shots that probably needed to hit. Could have definitely changed the map. Maybe it would have been over in the favor of Ground Zero at this point had those gone through. Still, here we are into the overtime. At the very least, for Atletico, it's a better showing than last week.
5 scopes for the CTs.
Scopes are the dopes. That's what I reckon.
Good to know. Chelios has lost a lot of his HP pretty early on in the round here. I almost thought Moe was going to click on that roller tour there, but he doesn't do it. Zep knows no one on Atletico's crossed on towards outside, so they don't really have much control of anything at this point. They're going to have to start to make some moves further into this round. Lots of utility for the CTs are going to make it harder and harder for Atletico to push into these choke pointy parts of the maps. Towards door, towards radio. And if Chelios isn't able to get a pick towards outside here very soon, I mean, he's not even going to need to. JD, I think that's a pick from door onto one of these upper players. First time I've seen Moe out of position in this map thus far.
Yeah, he has been pretty solid, hasn't he? Maybe letting the ball drop when it matters most.
Oh, this is a great move from Atletico. They've taken the ramp room. It looked like Ground Zero is going to gamble towards upper, but they've made the wrong call. Now scrambling to get through the back of vent towards decon or window before Atletico make their way onto this lower bomb site, but I don't think they've done it in time, no.
Burn has gotten to window. Needs to win this aim battle against Decibel and will not. Bombs down here for Ath as well. So, some serious thinking to be done for Ground Zero now after that. Already off to a good start, finding a T round, which in theory is more of a premium than the CT rounds at the moment.
All off the back of that pick, and it wasn't Chelios or Smooth Cream this time. JD, fantastic job from him to pick a pretty key player for Ground Zero at this point, very early on in the round. And then from that point, Ground Zero, they're in the 4-on-5. They're in pretty mediocre positions. They say to themselves, hey, we got to just take a risk here. Let's all head back towards upper and hope that that's where Atletico is heading towards. And just when that happens, Atletico, very fortunate with the timing. They take ramp to lower and they secure the round fairly easily from there. So again, first pick seems to be the name of the game for Ath. Ground Zero have to be really well aware of that. They can't keep giving them these picks.
No second AWP in this round for Ground Zero. Grenade onto Squeaky does open it up for Chelios to take a peek. But he's not seeing a whole lot right now. It'll throw a nice, pretty grenade in there. Doesn't actually do as much damage as I thought it might. But there you go. What's new?
Puts him into one-shot distance. That's something. Again, JD opening up from this uppers area.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like he's been having impact frags. 80k and Chelio certainly a couple of those as well. Burn getting ruined a bit by the ladder there, but look, to be fair, 1-for-1 is probably the best he could have hoped for at this point. Holy dooly. That was double nade, wasn't it?
Yep.
Well, 2 for their Atletico now. Ground Zero going to be scratching their heads.
So again, rolling off the back of the first pick into upper there. JD opens up the site, but then he creates a lot of space, making a lot of ground and allowing a lot of the Ts to come out of both door and hut fairly easily and roll over the rest of Ground Zero. Now that's 2 rounds in a row for Atletico. They're looking stronger and stronger as Nuke goes on. Ground Zero looking less and less focused. The aim just doesn't really seem on at the moment. They seem to be getting picked a lot. Chelios punishes that outside play from Burn. Might have been in the smoke or something like that. This is really going to incentivize Ground Zero to push here, and it should have been punished, but it's not. I don't know how Zemp gets away with that.
Is it going to be enough to make a difference, though, for Ground Zero? Atletico have looked pretty good once we've hit overtime.
This is a great line for Zemp to be on. He's got all the information on lobby. I don't know if he can't know that no one's to the left of his crosshair, but that's a fantastic position to be in. Atletico, they have all of outside, though. They're going to head down secret. No one's really in position to deal with this from Ground Zero. Oh, he's probably going to start to see them cross, but what do you do with that? Like, Extinct's going to head towards Megaton. They're probably going to have one vent drop, but Chelios picks Moe on outside, and that's going to make this so much harder for Ground Zero. Again, they have lowers control, and they're going to be able to consolidate the round down there. Doesn't seem like Ground Zero in good enough positions to do anything about this.
Ooh, Zemp gets Chelios, and Extinct is still here on B. So if he needs, if he can win this round, he needs at least one, and won't get it. JD, another impact frag. Zemp is doing the hero's job this round. Doesn't quite manage to get the flick there onto JD, and that may be what ends up winning the round for Atletico. Utilities coming flying across. Flash won't be quite enough to allow JD out. I don't know if it was expecting the doors to be open, and Void ends up behind Smooth Criminal. What a crazy round that was. Ground Zero do manage to win on the CT side, but I think Atletico is probably cheering at this point.
I mean, Zemp gets away with murder in that round, honestly. Able to get it done, though. 3 kills for the man, I believe. So now, Ground Zero heading on to their T side. And Atletico, they did really good work on their T side. 2 rounds for them. So I'd say they're probably in the driver's seat at this point. And that's a really big thing in overtime, especially in a game that's, you know, just a group game. Just an online game, can give you a little bit more confidence to kind of go for a pretty aggressive play, especially if you got the 16k MR3 format or whatever you want to call it. When you're round up, you can throw a bit of a spanner in the works, maybe push something that you wouldn't normally push. 80k is actually going for the AWP this time. So let's see, is Atletico going to throw something a little bit unorthodox? I think 80k is just going to AWP towards ramp to try and catch him off a little bit. Indeed he will. Outside smokes come out for Ground Zero. How much are they going to utilize them is the question. Extinct making his way through. Zemp as well with him.
A little bit of a hole in the smoke here. Let's see what JD can see. And he does spot Extinct. Also saw that second player cross, but won't be able to land the shot. Still, the damage is done. Atletico have started off with another opening pick.
So here's the problem. Like, when you're down a man, a lot of the time you're going to try to put a bit of pressure on this ramp, try to take control of that area or get a pick there. And at this point, you're kind of just walking into 80k's AWP. Like, this is an excellent situation for him to be able to pretty much get a free pick on one of these Ts before anything else really happens, put them in even more of an advantage. Like, especially because Ground Zero, they're not doing a whole lot at the moment. Zemp's on lowers, actually, with the AWP.
He's on his own.
I mean, what's the play from Ground Zero? You either go towards ramp and you try to get things done, or you try to vent drop or something. So they pressure uppers and they head back towards ramp. I think that's the play from them. They're going to be going into the AWP of ADK, but he's actually rotating up. He's bit the bait.
Well, is he going to be back in time? It looks like he might at least get one. And that's definitely good enough, especially because JD has also found Zemp. Well, it looks like we're headed towards map point for Athletico. Still a 2v4 is workable for Ground Zero, but it's going to need a miracle at this point. JD's maybe not having the success with the AWP that he would want, but Moe has been denied the bomb plant. Not that he was going to get it done anyway. JD and ADK actually finding the 2 AWPs. 18's up for Athletico, 1 round away now from finishing the map off. It's still a long way to go in this series, though, if they want to take the win against Ground Zero.
Phenomenal play from Athletico. I mean, you got to give it to Chelios and Smoothcrim to get to put them in this point, but it's really been JD who's been hitting the nail into the coffin.
Mm-hmm. Definitely came good toward the end of the second half, and now into the overtime has also been really impactful for Ground Zero. Oh, sorry, for Athletico, I should say.
And that's what we're used to seeing from the older iterations of Athletico, you know? It's a 2-man core with the extra guy helping out every now and again. The impact kills. And the overall pretty solid approach. Outside, uppers hit going to be coming in here.
It's looking okay, but Smooth Criminal flashed off the angle and will actually go down. Chelios able to chime in with 1. Needs a little bit more than that, and he's just going to be forced away by the fire. That's much better from Ground Zero. Maybe that's the kind of a take that they were trying to make work the first time, and it didn't really.
Big difference was the entry player was able to get out while the anchor was flushed. Get himself in a great position to be able to get them a pretty massive advantage. Oh no. That's
an important frag for ADK, but an equally important one for Extinct. If Decibel goes down there, it's a pincer strike onto the site. But now Ground Zero really only have to set themselves and look at one angle. 18-17, Athletico 1 away from the win, and Ground Zero 1 away from OT number 2. Fighting tooth and nail for it, aren't they?
Yep. Double AWP again from the CTs. Pretty ballsy for Ground Zero to go for that uppers execute that completely failed the first time around, and it works out this time. Not
46.
something that you would have expected.
46 frags for Chelios.
That's alright.
Yeah.
Decent performance. Bit below his standards though.
I'll smoke here for Ground Zero. Don't think there's a hole in this one.
Actually getting across without being contested for what I feel like is the first, maybe second time in this entire game.
Who's that? JD.
Yep.
Lowers.
Pretty important position for him here. Extinct is lurking behind, trying to punish any pushes into that lobby area, but it's lower. No one else really except for JD. Doesn't really get much done either. It's under a lot of pressure. Smoothcrim can't drop vent. They got no control of it.
Well, JD at least is able to get 1. And he gets a second as well. Big frags out from the impact player on Athletico and ADK. No, it's actually Chelios that hits the kill under Burn. This looks like it's all over. Ground Zero. They were so close, but so far. And Athletico finish off map number 1 in the overtime. Couldn't really have gotten much closer there, I don't think. And on Ground Zero, you got to feel sorry for them. So close. They worked really hard to even get it back into the overtime, but Athletico and some of those individuals really stepping up when it matters.
Yeah, that was a great game of CS. Like, just the approach from both teams was pretty impressive to see. Overall, you could see the, cogs in the work, the game plan sort of coming together, which is what you want to see on Nuke. But you really have to say, like, 2 of your players dropping 30 plus, some pretty clutch plays from JD to be able to close it out towards the end of the game there. If a lot of those things don't come together for Athletico, I think GZ come away with that game, and they're going to be kicking themselves losing their map pick heading into Mirage, but I guess we'll see if they can play Mirage up against Athletico, because it's a pretty common map in the Australian map pool. They should have all have plenty of reps on that map in particular.
Yeah, but Mirage sort of feels like it really is going to activate this Athletico roster. You know, we sort of had questions about Nuke, how much have they played it, how good are they going to be, what their T-side's going to look like. I wouldn't necessarily have those same questions about Mirage for the exact same reasons you talk about for Ground Zero.
Yep. 100%, especially because the individuals are performing so highly at this point. You know, it's going to be very, very difficult for Ground Zero to come away with this one. But, you know, we just saw an upset in terms of who we expected to come away with the first map. I think most people were predicting Ground Zero to come away with this one, but then your boy Chelios swoops in.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether or not he's going to be able to do much the same here on map number 2. It's going to be Mirage. We'll be back after the break.
That is absolutely stunning! They are the champions!
The Intel Extreme Masters returns to Sydney.
One more time. Are you ready? Let's get it on!
Hello, welcome back. It's the AUNZ Championship, and we are into Game 2 for tonight. Maybe only one more map to go. Headed now into Mirage, and that is the map choice of Atletico. We've also just picked up Nuke. Ground Zero, I think, going to be pretty unhappy with tonight's proceedings thus far.
I think everyone who had any kind of predictions in this series are going to be pretty unhappy as well. We've been pretty appalling in terms of just getting predictions wrong over this season thus far. Hopefully we all start to pick it up. The thing is that the overall standings of the predictions, though, are not too bad because everyone's wrong.
I've only had one wrong so far.
Really?
So I'm actually winning at the moment. Me and Rob and someone else. I can't remember who.
Enjoy it while it lasts, mate.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. It definitely looks like we'll all be wrong when it comes to this game. Well, the exception being Rob. He did say 2-1 to Ground Zero, which is still a possibility. I got to say, though, I feel like Mirage should favour Athletic a lot more than Nuke did. And given how close Nuke ended up being, you know, I feel like maybe Ground Zero might have run out of steam here. Particularly, obviously, because they're the ones that lost.
I think they're going to be able to sort of rekindle a little bit. They're going to be able to recognize, hey, look, it's pretty easy to just point at Chelios' score and be like, you know, that was a rough one. you got Chelios. There's nothing you can really do about it other than just play the next map of Counter-Strike in as resetted of a mindset as possible. And if they're able to do that, I wouldn't be surprised if Ground Zero are able to actually come away with Mirage in this series.
I mean, it's definitely not out of the realms possibility. Like, when I talk about it, it sort of makes me sound like, oh yeah, look, Atletico's going to win this 2-0. But realistically, if you were to put a percentage on it, you know, this maybe even only is like 60-40 or something like that.
Yep.
It's still a very, very close series. As we said at the start of today, we thought this series was going to be really close. And even map 1, super, super close. The fact that Atletico is able to pick it up, I mean, credit to them, of course. But it's not the job yet done.
Be kicking yourself in general if you're Ground Zero. Like some of these games that they're having, just like overtime, 16-14s, 14-16s, they are that team. They're just so close, but sometimes it's not quite able to get it done.
Yeah, that's definitely not where you want to be at all.
Sometimes it isn't, but sometimes at the same time, you know, if you're able to just say to yourselves, look, we're up there. We can make it happen against any opponent. We can keep things nice and close. If we're not closing it out, sometimes it sucks. Like, it is really bad, but it's better than being that team that just gets, you know, 16-2'd every game.
Yeah, well,
you can at least say you're a quality opponent.
True.
You're one of the better teams.
But to be fair, they have been kind of facing equal tier opponents, right? In that sense, where Avant, Atletico, you look at them and you think, okay, they're sort of middle of the pack, so too is Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Have to see if Ground Zero is going to be able to put these kinds of numbers up against teams like Greyhound, teams like Order. That's, I think, where the difference is really going to be made. If they're not going to be able to do that, then what does it really matter? Especially if you're losing against those middle of the pack teams.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree with you, but by the same token, I mean, you're kind of playing against the middle of the pack teams all the time, and whether you beat them or not, none of them are really beating the top 3 anyway, so... Right. You know, it's being like the best of the, you know,
best of the rest.
Second, yeah, best of the rest, exactly.
Which you reckon is Breakaway at the moment, I suppose.
How could you not? Look at these youngsters. They're just, you know, roll it in with their fast reflexes. They can still actually hold the mouse. I can't even hold the mouse without shaking nowadays. I'm so
Parkinson's.
old. Yep.
Too old. Yeah, look, my gaming day is well beyond me.
You don't even play video games anymore,
no,
Jordan.
Never. haven't touched them in a year.
Yeah. I've retired.
I've retired from video games. All I do is talk.
Where's your twit longer, Jordan?
That's actually, yeah, let me get onto that. Keep an eye on the Twitters, everyone. Follow me, @ElfishGuy. You might see a twit longer later on.
Make sure you tag me in it. That's one of your biggest inspirations.
I will make sure to tag @PiliCSGO. PILICSGO.
It's great.
On Twitter. Who I also follow. Right, let's go on to Mirage. Chances here for Atletico too. I think make amends from what happened last week against Jade. They did not look particularly solid at all, but here against Ground Zero, being able to get that first one on the board on Nuke is definitely good news for them. Now, they need to follow it up on Mirage. Starting on T. Don't think they'll be necessarily disappointed by that as they push forward quickly toward the B site.
P250 given to your boy Chelios. He is just making his way through underpass quite right now. Dezabel is in towards the palace as well. Looks like Smooth Crim. That's going to be a smoke in towards window from T spawn. What are they going to do with it? They're going to be rolling out the underpass. That's probably going to be a flash for the short position as well as con from Smooth Crim. And I would imagine it's probably going to be a pretty quick one towards the A split. Actually going to be a boost into window. 1 or 2? How many people do you put up there?
Well, it did look like 2, and yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Is that going to be a flash to window? Or a flash into con? Oh my god, 80k. He opens it up. Dezabel's going to be rolling out Palace here, but Extincty runs away. Zemp picking 1 or 2 from short. They can't lose players towards this short position from the CTs. It's the only good fight that they can really get for themselves at this point.
Well, they need to push into CT as well. Make sure that they can take control of this area. Gives them a lot of room to work with. Extinct wisely playing quite safely, and he's going to just bide his time, wait for Ground Zero, the rest of his teammates to take the challenge, and oh, dearie me. They fall off the angle at the wrong time, and it's all into Smooth Criminal. He might still be able to do it, but no. Headshots hit by Moe, and that was really just a matter of timing for Atletico.
They had some favourable timing. They had some unfavourable timing at the end of the day. Goes the way of Ground Zero. Is there ever been a CT pistol round where Extinct just doesn't go shoot everyone? Can't remember one. He's so sharp with that USP.
So sharp.
So sharp. Alright.
1-0 for ground zero, but Atletico forcing up. So going to be a pretty hotly contested round here pretty quickly. 3 AKs for the lads. Desi's got himself a scout. Eagle on 80k. Chelios is going to go down very early on here, getting spammed through the smoke. That's a pretty good sign for ground zero to be able to start to get some rounds on the board here, Jordan.
Well, maybe not. JD looking to have the impact, spamming away. Not going to hit anything there, except maybe the wall. Broadside of a barn, really. It's 3v2. Sorry, 3v4, I should say. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're not feeling very comfortable right now as Extinct.
He's clenching.
Yeah, somebody needs a grenade. Oh, Smooth Criminal. What? He's just spammed Extinct through the box. And now it's player advantage for Atletico. 3v2. I told you. I can read the future.
Can read the kill feed.
Smooth Crim 22.
What's the 22 stand for?
That's
Maybe-
his Crim number.
Maybe he's 22 years old. Does he level up to Smooth Crim 23? His birthday?
Don't know. JD. Let's go down. A fight that you might expect him to win, but I'm not sure that it's a necessarily hugely impactful fight, especially because, well, Smooth Criminal's hitting a lot of shots. Moe sitting the defuse. Desibel needs to peek and will. Nicely timed. Round on the board for Atletico. So, good fight back already. Ground zero going to be reset.
He's 22 years old.
Oh. What a coincidence.
But he was 22. He was Smooth Crim 22 when he was 21 as well.
How's that work?
I don't know. All I know is ground zero are forcing because they're in a pretty bad way after losing that, what was that, 4-on-3? When they were around ahead on the bye, they lost to the AK Force. Which is pretty crying emoji if you ask me. The double setup in the ladder might be able to get it done. Atletico's not really biting though. What is happening in T-Spawn? Extinct's on an adventure. He's probably going to get caught in the back by Desibel. There you go.
Got to be making a push, I suppose, with the buy like this for ground zero.
Chelios.
He just doesn't know where to look. You would be feeling pretty exposed right now. This is so abnormal, really. You don't see that in CS.
No.
That's how I play games, though. Like, because I'm always worried about what's behind me. But normally in CS, players will just sit on the line. Not the case for Chelios this time.
I don't think people have high enough senses usually to just be able to flick around everywhere.
That may be true.
Definitely not the case from Chelios.
Definitely
so,
very fidgety, isn't he?
Yeah. Pretty sure he's a higher sense player. But I wouldn't really know.
See if he actually checks the ladder room here. He will. Well, they know that it wasn't Void that went down there, so they're expecting another player. JD does get beaten to the punch, though. Try and take this AK out of the hands at least, but looks like 80k has failed the jump and probably won't get there in time now as a result. So the AK goes through for ground zero. Could be worse. But I thought I'd go up to 2. Still going to have to be another save for the CT side.
Might be able to get something done though with a couple of these pistols and the Hero AK. Possible. Gonna be Extinct with the USP playing retake A. Everyone else chilling over here towards B. Wouldn't mind seeing someone boosted up onto the bricks there. Tried to go for the ladder room setup, but all the T's are flying up catwalk. If that had worked, that probably would have been one of the more infuriating ways to die in this game. That's for sure. Void hasn't been able to get anything done with that AK, unfortunately. Just gets picked off fairly early here. Extinct will be checked as well, so
Okay.
5 alive for Atletico. Pretty convincing round for them. Now we're going to head into another bye round for round 0. But it feels like it's been a bit of a momentum swing for Atletico ever since they won that second round.
Well, ground 0 guys haven't really had a good bye behind them. So, kind of reserve judgment.
Ooh, top mid smoke was missed. Which gives an opportunity for Zemp to be able to shoot pretty freely.
Ground 0 gonna have to deal with the A bomb side. 80k nicely done on the trade. The A side is so open right now, but the cross is not going to be that easy for the bomb. The smoke eventually does go down. Desert Bell planting it fairly open. Zemp burns for a little bit before he does get that smoke to keep himself alive, but Atletico have lost a lot of players, and pushing into Moe has not worked out at all.